We are taking a look at a game called Blossom: The Seed of Life. This is a survival crafting game where you're a robot trying to terraform a dead planet back to life. What makes this one interesting is that you're not dealing with the typical survival mechanics, like hunger or health. Instead, everything runs on electricity. Your battery is basically your lifeline, and every action you take drains power. Thank you to Pretty Soon Games for sponsoring this video, and for respecting my editorial independence. So let's start from the beginning. You begin on this barren red planet with barely any juice left in your battery. Your memory is corrupted, so you don't really know what happened or why you're alone. The basic gameplay loop works like this. You mine resources, craft equipment upgrades, build machines, and slowly work toward making the planet habitable. The game's terraforming happens in stages. First, you need to increase atmospheric pressure to clear the fog that covers everything. You do this by building drills that release carbon dioxide into the air. Once that's done, you work on temperature to melt ice into water. Then you convert the dusty ground into actual soil, grow algae and plants to create oxygen, and eventually introduce insects, birds and animals. It's a very long process. The power management is genuinely tight in survival mode. You definitely can't run around carelessly because mining, moving, using your flashlight at night, and even opening doors. All of this eats your battery. If you run out completely, you respawn back at your pod, but your body and everything you were carrying stays where you died. The early game is especially rough, because your starting battery is tiny, and the only initial power source is this overcharged battery, that then eventually runs dry. To fix this power problem, you have to build fuel generators. The game's crafting and building is done through a 3D printer system. You unlock recipes by inserting blueprint discs into a console, and these blueprints are found at specific locations. To actually craft something, you need enough power. Upgrading your backpack is one of the first priorities, because the starter one is painful to work with. The wagon system is where things get really practical. You can build these modular wagons that chain together and follow you around. Each wagon can have different modules attached. For example, storage containers, batteries, mining lasers, whatever you need. This basically turns you into a mobile mining operation. You can hook up to 4 wagons in a convoy, and later there is stuff like a rover that you can actually drive that pulls them all. The game's map is randomly generated each playthrough, so you can't memorize where everything is. There is a scanner module you can build later that helps you locate specific resources that you have mined before, which does cut down on the aimless wandering. Exploration is quite a big part of it. You can recover memory fragments that piece together the backstory. The game doesn't really stop you and force story moments, it's just there, if you want to engage with it. The game's tech tree is tied directly to the terraforming progress. As you hit certain milestones, you unlock new blueprints through the Terraform analyzer. This gates your progression in a natural way, so you can't just rush to endgame tech. You have to actually work through the terraforming stages. Building your base is freeform. The printer lets you construct machines and place them wherever you want, within its range. It can get messy if you don't plan ahead, and the early cable management is kind of tedious. I can definitely see one thing that might annoy some people, and that is how much time you spend just running back and forth early on. Your movement speed is slow, until you get the sprint module. Storage limitations mean you can't haul much in one single trip, so there is a lot of tracking between your base and resource deposits. The game also doesn't explain that much upfront. You do get some tutorial prompts, but mostly you are figuring things out yourself. And that's great if you're into the discovery process. It's not instant gratification. So if you like methodical crafting games where you need to plan your actions and resource management, then this one delivers on that. The terraforming gives you a clear long-term goal to work toward, but you should expect some repetitive running around early game, and a learning curve as you figure out how everything connects. And this sentence concludes today's video. If your time was respected, a like or comment is very much appreciated.